Kevin Smith knows he can't drop the ball on Dogma 2 because original is one of the last fucking movies I ever made that's beloved across the boards. It's a little oddly worded because boards and anyway. Anyway, I remember when Dogma came out. Actually, I remember when some of his earlier movies came out in the early 90s. Back then it was hip, right? Back then it was like, oh, this is a little edgy and this is cool, and this was before Kevin Smith became such a sellout. But back, when his stuff was just getting hot, right? It was, they were cool back then. Back then, not so much now. Especially after what he did to Jay and Silent Bob. He made what was it? He made Silent Bob gay. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then what he did with the He-Man, the new He-Man animated series.
Oh.
Nope, nothing more,
Mm-mm.
nothing else by Kevin Smith. Just say no. But I decided to cover this because I do remember the first movie, and it was very beloved back then because it touched on a lot of Christian beliefs in a unorthodox way. It kind of poked at it. Some might call it sacrilege, but a lot of people, it just made them think. It introduced a lot of people to a lot of these Christian like concepts, but only with the philosophical aspects with it as well, and it made a lot of people think. I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't draw a lot of people into either Christianity or some type of spirituality or Buddhism, possibly. Yeah, Dogma was cool as shit. I remember back then it was. I suppose it still is, but the person who made it is not anymore. In recognizing the very real artistic risk he's taking by attempting to make a sequel to his 2 decade old cult classic, director Kevin Smith is fully aware that all eyes are on him when it comes to Dogma 2, especially as he knows the original is one of the last fucking movies that still holds a generally positive reputation. There's a reason why, because Kevin Smith became such a sellout. Yeah, Kevin Smith gave up. Maybe it was when he lost all that weight. No, I don't know. Um, he did he had a heart attack and then he had to lose all that weight. This was after he became a stoner. He wasn't a stoner when he made all this original stuff. Odd enough. Dogma's screening at the 2024 Cannes Film Festival, as held in honor of Smith's finally acquiring the full rights to the film from Miramax. So I guess he couldn't touch it because Miramax held the rights, and he couldn't work something out. I don't know, but he apparently now has the full rights to the intellectual property of it. I feel like when people see it, they'll be like, "Oh, I get it. Like that makes sense," kind of thing. Hopefully, they'll be like, "That's clever," and not be like, "Well, shit, I would have done that." I find that statement a little confusing because when I'm watching a movie and they put something in there and it's like, and I say, "I would have done that," I go, "That's clever. That's brilliant. That's perfect. That's exactly what I would have done." I feel good about it when I went, "I would have done that." Maybe
Yeah.
I'm doing it different than others would. I don't know. I will set a place at the table for everyone who was in the last movie who is still alive. Sadly, Alan Rickman and George Carlin won't be able to join us. George Carlin is an interesting character because he preached in his comedy and separately a lot of great things, but ultimately he became a hard liberal and kind of went into the same idealism that he argued against for decades. So, sell out, interesting character. I really, that's another topic. I've been watching this movie for the last month on the road with the Dogma Resurrection theatrical re-release tour, 2 shows a night, and then doing a doing an hour or two question Q&A after the screening. So I've been able to really imbibe Dogma, and what I see now is a movie that was written and directed by a kid who believed everything that's on display. So he's viewing this through the eyes of, I was a kid when I wrote that. That alone could be problematic because uh, if a kid wrote something that appealed to so many people, it was good. And what are you about to do to it?
It's
You're
about to kill it.
now that you're looking at it like a dumb kid wrote that. What are you about to do to disgrace this? The sequel to this movie, the continuation of the story. What are you about to do to disgrace it if that's how you're looking at it now?
Yeah. He's going to change it completely because he doesn't have that imagination anymore because he's an adult. And it shows from his statement that he said a dumb kid wrote the movie.
I don't have all those same beliefs anymore. I don't think he had them then because the whole movie was kind of questioning those beliefs, if you think about it. I mean,
Yeah.
on some level he did, but he was most definitely questioning those core beliefs with this movie. So he didn't fully have them. For that matter, it does mix some Buddhism type energy along with the Christianity theme. So yeah, I believe perhaps he's biased in the way he's reading it now.
Yeah.
I have some good ideas, but the belief structure doesn't exist. The movie exists in an expression of faith, and that was my idea of like this is how cool Sunday service could be. It's like church with anal jokes in it. So he's saying he doesn't have faith anymore. It's what it sounded like to me.
Yeah.
And now is the time when one starts thinking about their faith, and one that I don't really have anymore. So that's kind of fueling the underneath of the story. So it sounds to me like he's going to make this about lack of faith now or changing faiths. So it's definitely a self insert of sorts. It is not a uniquely written story, but it's kind of like this is where I'm at in life right now, and this is what I'm going to make it about.
Yeah.
Which
Well,
that's natural. That's natural for any writer, but considering what the first was, that could be problematic.
yeah, I think it will be. I don't think it will be near as good as the first one. It could even be really, really bad. I mean,
But
because it's going to,
it was a fun movie when it came out. It was fun, and it would also make you think. It would send you down that rabbit hole of ideology and the way it's conflicting and the way other ways it could go other than how people took it at first. So with the lens he's looking at it through now is going to destroy everything the first one was, in my opinion. He may make something great, but I doubt it. After seeing what he did to Jay and Silent Bob, after seeing what he did to the He-Man franchise, and there's probably more, but that's the two I know right off. After seeing everything he's done, I think he's going to ruin this classic, honestly.
yeah, me too. I mean, he even in the article, it sounds like he's going to trash it on purpose.
Yeah,
It's
that's
not
the
going
thing.
to,
It does sound like he's aiming to trash it on purpose because he doesn't have that faith. It doesn't technically say he has no faith. It says he doesn't have that faith. Plus, he is now uh, hyper political, whereas then he may have touched on things, but he wasn't hyper political then.
yeah. I kind I I I want to kind of see what he's going to do with it, but I have reservations all at the same time because
Yeah,
that's
I mean, sometimes like I'm curious about this movie or this game, but I'm not about to give them money because, I already know some things they screwed up and it could be so much more. Well, there's the selling the high seas. So I'm like, okay, here's the thing. You're not losing money because if I did not have access, I simply would not purchase your stuff. If I didn't have otherwise access, it would just not be acquired in any way. You're not losing money. If anything,
True.
Obtaining things in that fashion could bring you in more fans who will spend money later down the line.
That's also true.
Okay, so I'm get caught up with the comments here real quick. The Prophecy with Christopher Walken movies in 1995 was one of the best Angel, or is that Angle? uh, Angel movies. Two was fine, but the third was okayish. I don't remember the other two, but I do remember watching the first when it came out. And yeah, there's some roles he didn't really work in. Christopher Walken, I think he worked well in that role.
Yeah.
And the Rumble bot says, hit follow and like the stream. Yeah, whatever platform you're on. If you haven't done that, just get it out of the way. Just click or tap or whatever the fuck ever, right? Because small channel like this, it actually counts for something.